Hi, my name's Alistair Chapman, and in this video I'm going to take a look at how you use the CineEI shooting mode in this camera, Sony's PXW-FS7. Now the FS7 has two shooting modes and they're selected in the menu under the base settings, and those two modes are Custom and CineEI. Custom is the simplest way to use the camera. It's basically what you see is what you get shooting, so what you see in the viewfinder is what's recorded, and that's going to be very close to what the viewer will see in the finished production. The CineEI mode, on the other hand, is all about capturing the very best image quality from this camera. And in CineEI, we're actually capturing just about everything that the sensor in this camera can see. Now the downside to that is that because we are capturing a range that is much greater than a conventional camera can capture, when those pictures are viewed directly on a normal monitor or TV set, they tend to look washed out, flat, lack colour and contrast. So the CineEI workflow is a two-step process, because we're going to capture these initially flat, washed out looking pictures, we take those into post-production, and then we grade them. That is, we colour correct them and we adjust the brightness and contrast so that they look nice again. Much of the final look of your finished production when you use CineEI is created in post-production rather than in the camera. So let's take a closer look at CineEI with the FS7. So the first thing that we need to do is to select the CineEI mode in the base settings of the camera. Once you've selected the CineEI mode in the base settings, the next thing you need to set is the color space. The color space determines the range of colors and the contrast range that the camera can record. There are three options: S-Gamut with S-Log2, S-Gamut3 with S-Log3, and S-Gamut3.Cine with S-Log3. All three of these have exactly the same contrast range and dynamic range, but there are differences in the color space. S-Gamut and S-Gamut3 are the largest color spaces, and in theory at least, these allow you to capture the greatest range of colors. S-Gamut3-Cine is a slightly smaller color range. For most people, S-Gamut3-Cine and S-Log3 will be the easiest to use. The slightly smaller color space is actually easier to grade and easier to work with in post-production than the much larger S-Gamut and S-Gamut3 color spaces. So my recommendation is to choose S-Log3 with S-Gamut3.Cine. Log gamma curves such as S-Log2 and S-Log3 allow you to capture a much greater contrast range than a normal TV or monitor can display. As a result, when you use S-Log2 or S-Log3, the pictures when viewed directly will look flat and low contrast. That's simply because there's a mismatch between the camera and the monitor. Now, to make life easy when shooting with S-Log2 or S-Log3, the camera has something built into it called Lookup Tables. And what the Lookup Table does is it converts from S-Log2 or S-Log3 to a different gamma curve. If we use the 709-800 Lookup Table in the FS7, the S-Log3 and S-Log2 is converted from that big wide range gamut to normal television gamma. So what this means is that when you view via the 709-800 Lookup Table, the pictures that you see on the screen have the normal contrast and normal range as you would see from a conventional video camera. This makes exposing your images very easy, because if the picture in the viewfinder or on the monitor looks right, then it is right. It is going to be exposed correctly. You don't need to change the way you work. You don't need to change the levels that you use. You can expose via the 709-800 LUT exactly as you would with a conventional video camera. So let's take a look at how we use the 709-800 LUT. In order to use a lookup table, the first thing that we need to do is to turn them on, and this is done in the video settings of the main menu, and you'll see that there is an option for monitor LUTs. If you go into the monitor LUT page of the menu, you'll see that you can turn on and off MLUTs, that's monitor LUTs, for SDI1 and internal recording, SDI2, HDMI, and if you scroll down a bit further, the viewfinder as well. When you're working with LUTs, normally you'll want to have SDI2 MLUT turned on, HDMI MLUT turned on, and the viewfinder MLUT turned on. It's worth noting that the HDMI LUT output option will follow SDI1 if the video output setting HDMI target is set to recorder, or it'll follow SDI2 if the output setting is set to monitor. It's very important at this stage to ensure that the SDI1 and internal recording LUT is turned off. We do not normally want to record the LUT. Normally we just want to record the S-Log2 or S-Log3. The next thing that we need to do is to select the LUT that we're going to use. Now for exposure, the LUT we want is 709-800, and this is found under the LUT category, and you'll see it here, 709-800, so select this lookup table. So now when you're shooting, when you look in the viewfinder or at a monitor connected to SDI2 or HDMI, you're monitoring via the 709-800 LUT. So your pictures will have a normal contrast range. So setting your exposure is as simple as looking at the picture and exposing it so that it looks right. If you use zebras for your exposure, then the zebra levels are exactly the same as you would use for conventional video camera. So if you set zebras to 70% and you shoot a face or a person, you'll have a tiny bit of zebras just appearing on their skin, and that will be the correct exposure. It's exactly the same as you would use with a normal camera. You don't need to remember any different numbers or levels, so it's very simple to use. One slight issue with monitoring via a LUT like this is that in many cases the LUT can't show you everything that the camera is capturing. The camera is capturing a huge dynamic range, 14 stops, but the LUT may only be able to show you a smaller range. But there is a solution to this, and it's via a function called the high and low key. The high and low key function is set up by assigning high and low key as a function to one of the camera's assignable buttons. I normally assign it to button number 2, the auto iris button, because in the CineEI mode, the auto iris function doesn't operate. When you press the button that you've assigned high and low key to for the first time, the viewfinder image is made darker. This allows you to see the overexposure range of the camera. It allows you to see what's going on in your highlights. And you can use this to check for overexposure in your recording. When you press the button for the second time, the image in the viewfinder is made brighter. And this allows you to see what's going on in the darker shadow areas of your picture. So by using the high and low key button in combination with the 709-800 LUT, you are actually able to see the entire range that you are recording. So with no high-low key selected, you see the middle of your shooting range, your recording range. The first press of the high and low key allows you to see the highlight range, allowing you to check for areas of overexposure, and then the second press of the button allows you to check what's going on in the shadows and the darker parts of the picture. Press the button again, the third press returns you back to the normal range of the lookup table that you've chosen. So shooting with S-Log2 and S-Log3 can be very simple. Just choose that 709-800 LUT, monitor and view that, use normal exposure levels the same as you would for any conventional video camera. But if you're worried about overexposure or something in the shadows, use the high and low key function button to check the brightest parts of the picture and the darkest parts of the picture. It's a very simple way to work.